everybody, welcome back to Fogel's Watching Movies. This is going to be my monthly Blu-ray 4K DVD haul for the month of April, which was a busy month for me. At the beginning of the month, my girlfriend and I went on a vacation out west. Immediately got home, moved houses, and then I spent the latter half of April actually sick. So I'm finally getting around to talking about which movies I picked up for the month. And despite all of what I had going on, I picked up quite a lot of stuff. I just counted 30 movies, and that's not including that some of these are collections. So I'm going to start with top to bottom what I picked up at the beginning of the month and what I actually and I'm going to end with a small little haul that I got today. But we're going to start with The Rock, starring Nicolas Cage and Sean Connery. Ed Harris is great in this as well. I had never seen this, watched it, and loved it. Next up, I got the 4-movie collection for Final Destination. Liked the first one, second one, third one even. Not a big fan of the fourth one, but I really enjoyed the fifth one. And I already had the fifth one, so I'm happy to finally have the other 4. Also, from that Amazon order, I got The Proposal, Ryan Reynolds and Sandra Bullock. It has Betty White. Betty White's in this, and rest in peace, Betty White. My girlfriend's a huge Golden Girls fan, so I kind of wanted something with Betty White in the collection. And it's an enjoyable comedy. I'm not sure it's rom-com. I'm not sure when I'll get around to watching it again though. Then I went to eBay and got Hacksaw Reach on 4K. This was an upgrade from my Blu-ray. Hacksaw Ridge is one of my favorite war films. Andrew Garfield was great in that. I also got The Descent, which I watched and enjoyed. I'd heard a lot of good things about that as a horror flick, and it held up. This next one's definitely a guilty pleasure, but this is Where the Red Fern Grows, the remake. I'm not positive on what year the original one is, but this one came out in the early 2000s. It even has Dave Matthews playing the father. And this is just one I somehow watched growing up, and it's just a story about, a boy with his 2 hunting dogs, and I rewatched that, and it was an interesting revisit. Then I got Sideways, which I believe, it was nominated for 5 Academy Awards. It stars Paul Giamatti and Thomas Hayden Church. I enjoyed this. I actually started working at a winery and learning more and more about wine, and so this is a fun little two buddies who go on a trip together, and has a lot to deal with wine. So it's a good comedy. It's a good time if you're ever looking for something to just sit down and turn your brain off. I got the 4-movie collection for Shrek. Love the Shrek movies. I grew up on those. Haven't watched them in a long time. But just in case one day I want to sit down and watch them again, I now can. So we got that. Then I got Commando with Arnold Schwarzenegger. I was on a really big Schwarzenegger kick earlier in the pandemic, and Commando was one I was thinking I need to add. I still haven't seen it, but I need to add it and check it out. I've heard good things, and you can never go wrong with Arnold. Next up was an upgrade, Coach Carter on Blu-ray. I had the DVD, but this was actually one of my favorite sports films growing up. You have Samuel L. Jackson playing a high school basketball coach, and I don't know what it is. The rewatchability is not great, but it still carries a lot of nostalgia. And I've always enjoyed Coach Carter. Then I have a DVD that I picked up off of eBay, and that is Pontypool. This is one that had been on my watch list for a while. I ended up watching it, and it was good. I don't think it was quite what I expected, but it was a good horror film in certain aspects, just different elements, and I enjoyed the cast in this movie, and the fact that it took place in a radio station during a blizzard. I recommend it, at least a one-time watch. Then actually, while I was out west, we were in Astoria, Oregon, where actually my girlfriend and I went and checked out where the Goonies was filmed, Goonies is one of my favorite films of all time, so that was an absolute blast. And while we were out there, we hit up a thrift store, and I found Clint Eastwood's the Man with No Name trilogy, which I was interested in finding for the right price because I had finally watched The Good, the Bad, and the Ugly a few months ago, and I wanted to check out these other ones. And this one comes with Good, the Bad, and the Ugly, A Fistful of Dollars, and for a few dollars more. So I'm excited to check those other two out. But yeah, I found that one for a good price. And then the best pickup of the month for most people, I pre-ordered this one, Spider-Man No Way Home on 4K. Huge Spider-Man fan, like most people, and saw this one in theaters. It was incredible. Watched it at home, and it still held up. It's crazy how they managed to pull this movie off, where you have the three Spider-Mans all together, and it's still a blast. You know, there's plot holes, maybe not so much plot holes, but like just Doctor Strange kind of being irresponsible at the beginning of the film to kind of get the movie going and get the plot going. And but I'm glad we have this, and it's right up there with my favorite Spider-Man MCU film of all time. Then one day I just popped into Big Lots, and I've always seen people finding Big Lots films for really good prices, and I have not had that much luck until I went in one day and I found Patriot Games starring Harrison Ford, and it also has Sean Bean in it. It was like $1.25, and watched it, loved it. I figured I would. I watched The Fugitive a while back and really liked Harrison Ford in that. This one holds up as well. So I'm excited to check out more and more of Harrison Ford's films. Then another one called Downsizing with Matt Damon. I'd heard good things about this movie, how it's a good comfort film, another $1.25 film. This one was interesting. It went down roads that I probably wouldn't have expected it to, but it knows exactly what it is, and it sticks true to that. Definitely one I could see myself popping back on sometime down the road. All right. Then this was probably my second favorite pickup of the month, right behind No Way Home. But I was on Facebook one day, saw somebody post about the Harry Potter 8 film collection on 4K being on sale on Amazon for like $65, and I immediately bought it. I actually already owned the Blu-Ray set, but it comes with both. So I sold my Blu-ray collection, and now I have all the Harry Potter films on 4K, which I am ecstatic about. Big Harry Potter fan. Then I owned the first Rocky film, and I regrettably had never seen the first Rocky film my entire life. And I sat down and watched it finally, loved it. It's one of my favorite sports films of all time now. So I immediately went out on Amazon and bought the Rocky collection. This one has Rocky, first Rocky, Rocky 2, Rocky 3, Rocky 4, Rocky 5, and Rocky Balboa. So I'm excited to watch the rest of these. None of them are going to be as good as the first one was, but I'm excited. With that Amazon order, I also bought My Cousin Vinny, starring Joe Pesci, Ralph Macchio, and Marissa Tomei. I've heard good things about this. It's a good comedy. It's one I've had on my radar, but just wasn't sure when I'd pull the trigger, but I finally did. I've heard it's a good comedy, a good courtroom comedy, and I'm excited to also try that one out. Then, just because it was cheap on Amazon, I got This Is the End, which my girlfriend and I owned on DVD, but not really. We had the DVD case, but it didn't have the disc in it for some reason, so upgraded, has the Blu-ray and the DVD now, so This Is the End. Then I finally went to HamiltonBooks.com and placed an order. I'm always checking it every once in a while, and there's certain titles I'm interested in, but maybe not enough to want to place a big order. But I actually placed an order for 5 films, and the first one was Candyman, the collector's edition starring Tony Todd. Still never seen Candyman, but I'm a horror fan, and it's one I know I need to watch, and I'm excited to have it in the collection. Once I watch this, I will most likely check out the remake from this past year. Then we have 42, the Jackie Robinson story starring Chadwick Boseman, also another film with Harrison Ford in it. I've seen this. I had it on DVD a while ago and traded in my DVD, but ever since Chadwick Boseman passed away, I'm always itching to watch any movie with him in it. And I'm a baseball fan, maybe not so much as when I was a kid, but I still enjoy baseball, and this is still a good one. A sports film I definitely need in my collection. Then also from Hamilton Books, I got 3 DVDs, which there are so many pages of DVDs on that website that usually I don't go looking through it. But I actually found a few that I'm very happy to now own. I actually got a 4-pack of films. It has Children of the Corn, which my girlfriend and I started one day, but we didn't end up finishing. I kind of just lost interest in it, but didn't really buy it for that. I'll go back and eventually rewatch it, but I'm excited to check out Creepshow 2. Also Chud, which, what does Chud stand for again? It's Cannibalistic Humanoid Underground Dwellers. And the reason I'm interested in that film is because when Jordan Peele's movie Us came out, I remember watching an interview with him, and he had said that the movie Chud played a huge role and impact for that film. So I'm excited to check that one out. And then also House down here. I've never seen any of these really all the way through. But House is another horror film I've heard good things about. So anytime I can find horror packages, 4-packs like this, just to add to the collection to check out, will definitely do. So I'm excited to watch those. And then adding to my ever-expanding Scooby-Doo collection, I bought Scooby-Doo Prehistoric Prey, which has Scooby-Doo Legend of the Phantasaur, Scooby-Doo and the Loch Ness Monster, and Scooby-Doo and the Mask of the Blue Falcon, which I've seen the Loch Ness Monster, already own it, but the other two I've never seen, so I'm wanting to collect these Scooby-Doo movies and go through and watch them all. Still my favorite cartoon from when I was a kid, and yeah, can't ever go wrong with Scooby-Doo. And then a DVD that we watched also at the beginning of the pandemic. I'd heard a lot of people recommend this one as sort of a, maybe not so much anymore, an underrated horror film, but that is The Loved Ones, and it says right on there, a truly demented masterpiece. It is very demented. I will say that. I had fun with it. For those of you that have seen this movie, you'll definitely know the catchy song in this film, and I find myself just randomly singing it all the time. It's not a great song. It's just one that'll get stuck in your head pretty easily. But this movie has a lot of good horror elements, and there's a pretty good twist, and it definitely does not go in the direction you think it will. But excited to watch this one again. And then actually today, I'm going to take another sip of my tea. I had a rather big pile of movies I wanted to trade and pile up. So I went to a place called V-Stock and traded it in for store credit and found myself 6 titles. Could have been more, but I tried to be smart about what I bought, how much I bought. And I'm glad I went today, because perhaps something that's been on my must-buy list for the longest time was there. And believe it or not, it's The Dark Knight Rises on the Blu-ray Steelbook. I am not a Steelbook collector. I have some Steelbooks in my collection just because that's what I decided to buy the day I was out shopping. But I actually owned The Dark Knight, or Batman Begins on Blu-ray Steelbook, and also The Dark Knight with Heath Ledger in it on Steelbook. So this was the only one I didn't own on Steelbook. I had it on DVD forever. And years ago when I was looking to find this one, it was going for an absurd amount of money, especially on eBay. But I found this one for $10 and I was super excited. Not my favorite of the Christian Bale Batman flicks, but still great. Happy to finally have it. And it was also an upgrade, so very happy with that. And then I also bought Jean-Claude Van Damme in Hard Target. I've actually never seen this, and I remember hearing about it when I was a kid growing up, and then I saw they just released a 4K for it, like a brand new restoration. But that's going for pretty good money, and so I think this is just the original one that Universal released, and it was like $8, and just the premise of this movie sounds interesting. I know there are a lot of big Jean-Claude Van Damme fans out there, and I'm willing to give them a shot, and it's an action flick. I guarantee I'll love it. And then a film that I've also had on my watch list for a while, still haven't seen, but that is The Jerk, starring Steve Martin. Steve Martin is one of my favorite actors, and this is one that he's most known for, and I'm excited to watch. I have a couple. This and LA Story are in my collection of Steve Martin films I need to get around to watch, but The Jerk I'm excited to see. And then, probably because I watched Rocky this month, I bought Invincible, starring Mark Wahlberg. And how this kind of divvies up with Rocky, I guess, is it's a Philadelphia sports movie. This one more specifically about Mark Wahlberg playing a 30-year-old bartender who goes to the NFL. And I'm a big sucker for NFL fans. As you can see, this is a Walt Disney film. I'm always looking for sports movies, especially ones that deal with football. And then probably behind The Dark Knight Rises, and my favorite find today, is a terrible movie, but it is called ATM, and this is this came out actually I think in 2012, and it stars Josh Peck, for any of you early 2000s kids, Drake and Josh, all the other stuff he was in, but this was a movie he came out with in the early 2010s, and I remember watching it one day. I have no idea what I thought about it. But it's one I've been wanting to check out again, but the prices on this too were just insane. Like, I think it goes for like 20-something bucks on Amazon. I found this for $1.99, and while it is not a good movie, I will definitely pay that to revisit it. So I think it's literally just about three people stuck in an ATM with this fur coat fella killer just going after him. So we're gonna watch this again, and I guarantee it does not hold up, but happy for what I paid for it. And then last, what did I watch this month? I watched 30 Days of Night with Josh Hartnett, the vampire movie. And while I was watching that, I was like thinking about the remake of The Crazies, starring Timothy Olyphant. I don't know why I was thinking of this movie while I was watching it, but it's one I've seen a couple times and enjoyed, and Timothy Olyphant's great. What I remember most about this movie is just like kind of the small town feel of it, and I like horror movies that take place in a small town, so maybe that's where 30 Days of Night came into play. But I'm excited to rewatch this one. This is one I've passed over many times at movie shops and whatnot, and I finally pulled the trigger today. And yeah, that was 30 movies that I bought this month. Like I said, more if you count the individual ones in the collections. But appreciate you guys tuning into today's video. I apologize I didn't have any other videos this month. Like I said, it was crazy. But as I settle in, I'm hoping to put out more content, and I have some video ideas. I just need to get around to doing them. But other than that, thank you for checking out the video. Please like, subscribe, and comment, and we'll see you next time. Peace.